I never really been nervous to come back home. It's always good to be back home in Miami. This school, this city gave me something that I tell you I could never repay what the University of Miami did for me. I mean, absolutely. Growing up in Lakeland, Florida, for me, grew up in a very, very tough environment to where you had to figure out life very early. You had to figure out what was right and what was wrong, but you were surrounded around wrong so much. So a bunch of my teammates and a bunch of people that looked just like me and had way more ability than me, 90% of them chose the opposite. 90% of them chose drugs. 90% of them chose the fast way out. How do I make a quick dollar to take care of my families? How do I get out to make money? And didn't realize that it was a future that they was giving away. And one of the things that I'm telling you, it changed me forever, was my imagination. My imagination was so crazy because at 14 years old, I started chasing sunsets. And I'll never forget, me and my best friend was sitting outside one day and I said, bro, I'm tired of my mother being beaten. I don't have no money. I don't have no way out. I wasn't raised with a father. So I had to figure out life. And I started to figure out life when I connected to who I truly believe God is. God is light. It's not a religion. It's a light that says there is a way out if your imagination can imagine outside of your circumstances. Some of the things that we're introduced to when I was younger, to see my mother's face sometime, to see the pain in my mother's face, to see the scars of just men brutally beating my mom, and I wasn't strong enough. I wasn't man enough. I didn't have the answers. And while most people think it was sports that brought me out, it wasn't. It was hopefully one day I was strong enough when I started doing those push-ups and sit-ups to make sure man never put his hands on my mom again. That's why I woke up every day. That's why I still wake up every day. And everything that I achieve every day of my life is Mother's Day. I don't just block out one day for Mother's Day because I observe something. People ask me all the time, who is your greatest influence? Who is your greatest role model? My mother. That woman showed me something through observation. She never complained. She never complained, even with blood running down her face. I'll never forget it. 10 years old, I tugged on her dress one day, and I said, Mama, one day you will never have to work another day in your life. You will never have to go through this. And so now, I go around the country, and I tell you, my partner is sitting here now, Rob Wallace. He's the CEO of my company, Power 52. And something happened. Something happened in my childhood that I started to realize that, you know what, you can make it out. You know what, you can get the first scholarship. You know what, you can be the first one to go to college. You know what, the University of Miami, I did not have a scholarship at all my last year of high school. Now, you let me tell it, I was the best athlete in the freaking state. But I'm gonna be humble and just stay what it is. But I outplayed everybody I played against. So I just didn't understand it. But then I started to realize that it was based off size. It was based off tangibles. Oh, he's not 6 this, he's not 6 that. But I was like, well, how many people has actually measured my heart? How many people knows what's inside of me? What am I built to do? And then I realized something, that nobody dictates your effort. Nobody dictates how hard you work. Nobody dictates the things that you overcome and the things that you find yourself coming out of. There's something about pain that I tell you, most people run from pain. I tell you, I chase pain because on the other side of pain is glory. See, we got to start understanding when we start, one of the things, thank everybody at the head table, thank everybody that's here that invited me to this. Stephanie, you're amazing for this. Oh my gosh, I'm like a little kid in a candy store right now. I'm around all these people. It's a lot going on. But what I found out was, through me traveling around the world, the same issue that plagued us, the same atrocities that plagued us for so many years, me as a child, It's the same issues we have today. The same issues. Low-income communities are always at the bottom of the totem pole, are always the ones that never see there's no light. Trust me, I lived it. I know when the light is dim. I know why young kids in Baltimore is joining gangs at 9 years old. I know why. Because you can't see light. You can't see big buildings. You can only see the plate that's not on your table. You can only see the clothes that you don't have. Starting Power 52 through 2015, this image, if you look on the screen, I lived this image forever. People tried to destroy my city, destroy our city, based off this image about what happened to Freddie Gray in 2015. Of course it was unjust. Of course it was something that should have been done better. There's a lot of things in our world could be done better. But how do we bring a solution to a major problem? Because this is just not a problem in Baltimore. This is a problem in Africa. This is a problem in Chicago. This is a problem in Miami. This is a problem nationwide, that we have young leaders who are now followers but don't understand that the leader is found inside of them. We got to bring it out. And we can't give them $3 to $5 jobs because they're not taking those. Those don't help the family. Hence, Power 52 was started 2015. Sat down with my partner and said, what do we do next? How do we get back to them? We got to get to the people. We got to get to the people. How do you change nations? You empower people. Everybody in this room, if we all sat down, and I always say this, I don't care if you smoke a cigar or not, just get around a cigar because it'll make you sit down for a minute. It'll just make you calm down. And what'll happen is you won't be judgmental when somebody has a thought. You will have to listen to it. And that's why we start with people. We start with outreach. Everybody spoke, Osama, you spoke about how are we supposed to outreach and how are we supposed to use social media. But I'm a father of 6. And as great as social media is for me, when my kids walk in my house at 9:30 at night, if they're not paying your bills and I'm paying them, I need your phones on my dresser. I don't care how old you are. Because there are certain things that we were protected from. When we were adults, when we was young kids, our mothers always protected us from the one device that they knew would kill us, rated R movies. They knew what it would do to our minds. We will expand too fast. So now that's what's starting to happen with our kids. It's because now with parents has become the new iPads. But real parenting is taking them and showing them how to use social media, how to use all of the platforms right for you. My youngest daughter, she just started this business where she goes to these different cities, and athletes come to these cities and they don't have an identity of where they're trying to go and what they. So she started this company, and I'm applauding her because I'm like, tell your brothers and sisters stop asking me for money. And she just built the company where she made over $100,000 last year by herself, and she's 17 years old. Right? So it's like it's possible for them to use these platforms and really do it for what's right? And then we talk about the work, we talk about the education component, if you look at the screen. And then you talk about resiliency. And I'm gonna kind of just run through it because I want to get to a really point in this. If you look at what we do in our core, we have an 11-week program. The program is absolutely amazing, only because of this. Solar, it's a lot of people here in solar. Solar is one thing. You pass by solar panels all the time, and you see solar panels, and you understand. But if you understand the climate and where we're going and the things that we have to start understanding, there's something else that we have to start teaching that comes with solar, and it's just not solar, right? So you see all the accreditations they get, 75 hours, 225 hours of these things. But this is my favorite part of what we teach them. We got 52 power principles, core principles, that when my mother sat me down as a little kid, she says, God says all things are possible. All things are possible. We put in walk with integrity. How many young men you see walk with their heads down? Why? Because they're not courageous enough to move. They're not built like that to move. That's why the power principles, when they get in class, instead of understanding solar, I want you to understand how you must rebuild who you are as an individual from the inside out. That's why so many people had a hard time beating me on a football field, because they really thought it was about a game. And it wasn't. It was about a life. It was about a foundation that I had already built that was unshakable, unmovable, and unbreakable. That's why I achieved the things that I achieved in that game. The only reason I stayed around 17 years in the National Football League was for one reason: my effort. I wasn't the biggest, I wasn't the fastest, I wasn't the strongest. How do we come together as a community and reinstall as a country, as a world, reinstall these core principles so that we, when we all lay our head cold, our kids will have a better future? If we're not fighting for our kids, then we're fighting for the wrong things of what we're trying to teach them. That's why in Toronto, when I went to Toronto and started that camp, my camp, No Excuses. My camp is no excuses for one reason: stop. There's no more excuses. There's no more excuses why we have homelessness. There's no more excuses why we have young girls being anti-trafficked every freaking day. There's no more excuses for that. There's no way we can sit by and let these atrocities keep going day after day and wondering how mothers walk around empty rooms of young girls that's gone. We owe it to our people to come from the core and create businesses that starts with people, redefining of people, not just checks. I'm talking about the redevelopment of human beings. It's where we have to come together as a family, regardless of race, regardless of economic value, of whatever it may be. There's 8. 8 is new beginnings. There's 8 core things that we stick with: on-the-job training, site assessment, system design, understanding your role in green environment, your OSHA certifications they get, NAPSEC Association, NCCER accreditation, financial literacy. It will blow your mind. Rob knows this. It'll blow your mind, the people that sits down. Paul, it'll blow your mind, the people that sits down and don't know how to manage a checkbook. It'll blow your mind to sit with these young kids who do not understand how to count money. They don't know. They go to the register, they give money, but they don't know how much they're getting back. But this is what our future looks like. This is what, when we're talking about job placement, we're talking about retention. We're talking about recreating an environment. We're talking about doing something. I built something. I built this solar boot camp on what we built to take these kids outside and to see them build this solar. And Rob knows this. When that green light comes on, their entire life change. Because then they say, man, I figured something out. I have something that's sustainable. I have a job that pays me $19 and $20 an hour. And guess what? Instead of mom putting me out on the streets, or me going back to robberies, or me going in and out of jail because the recidivism rate is so freaking high, I got a fighting chance. I can do this now. That's why we do this. That's why Power 52 does this. Why do I go here? Why do I go with low-income families? Because I've been in low-income families my whole life. I've been on welfare. I had food stamps. I know how hard it is. Appreciate you, brother. I know how hard it is to find your way out when there's nobody knocking on your door to give you a chance. I know how hard it is, man, and it's impossible if you don't have faith of something, then you'll fall for anything. But when you talk about low-income families, when you talk about the things that they're seeing, we're talking about 68% of the U.S. households. 68% of the U.S. households live in low-income communities. How can we ask our kids to fight if that's where they're fighting from? We have to figure out something, which is why our motto. You go to these 6 things. This is 6 things that every family struggles with. Job access. It's difficult. It's the most difficult thing you're ever going to do when you're in a low-income neighborhood and you're trying to figure out, how do I get a quality job? that's going to give me an opportunity where I can help somebody. Clean energy access is one thing our company does. We give access to clean energy. Afro-Americans, they're not in this space. We're not in this space. We're in this space now, and we're going to make sure we stay in this space because this space can help us. Earning potential is unclear. It's unclear. Nobody understands how much I can earn. Nobody understands how I can create recurring revenue time and time again in these neighborhoods. You're talking about job mobility? The limitations that we have when you talk about job mobility in these neighborhoods that are in every city, every country in the world, we have low-income families. Then we talk about professional growth and development. Wow, it's too expensive. They can't pay for that. So how do we get it to them? Then you talk about tax incentives. Wow, their credit is terrible. They don't even know what that looks like. They don't even know how to apply to even think about what taxes look like and how to get around taxes. Yeah, that's why Power 52 comes in. Energy savings, education, credit repair, financial literacy, discounted family service, training programs, special customer access, all these things. The company is one thing. The empowering the individual is another. That's why we do what we do. GEO, changing behavior by changing lives. Company that we just partnered with, they have many private prisons across the world. And our curriculum is now starting to be implemented in these prisons. I travel around the world going into prisons because the same people that's coming out of prisons, if we don't change their mentality, then nothing changes when they get out, right? I want to leave always in my playing career something that I did every game. I always told the coach, shut up. They don't want to hear from you. They got to hear from somebody they're about to fight with, somebody they're about to go to war with. And when you talk about winning championships, we're talking about the qualities of a 21st century leader. What is that? What does that look like? We're talking about qualifications, qualities over qualifications, right? We're catapulting people because of their qualifications, but if your quality of life doesn't align, then it's impossible for you to create change. You can have all the degrees you want to have, but if you don't have the quality and substance of what the hood feels like, it's impossible for you to change the hood. It is what it is. But the hood teaches something that'll change your life forever. That's why the next thing, you got to be disruptive by nature. It's my culture. Man, I was disruptive since I was 10. I'm still tearing up stuff. I got people, mamas looking for me. There's a lot going on because of what I did to them on the football field. But it wasn't personal. I told them it was only business, right? But it's other things. And then I tell my kids all the time, the greatest gift I have for you is being the example. That's the greatest gift I have. And telling you the truth. We have to lead by example. You want your kids to walk right and pull their pants up and keep their hair cut right, you do it first and watch they follow. Our leaders, our 1% of the world, it's time to lead by example. And it's time to take quality people back to the top to where kids start to understand why we're leaving them a better future. I told you, y'all heard me say this, number 4, there's glory on the other side of pain. There's glory on the other side of pain. No pain lasts always. No pain lasts always. And when you make up your mind to deal with pain because you know what it feels like, man, ain't a devil in hell can stop what you're trying to do. Not when you get moving. Man, there's something I'm trying to birth out to our world, that there are no more excuses on why our world should be so divided. No more excuses. Number 5, I think, is the biggest one that I found in my career. Find your weakest link before your competitor does. See, when I played, I don't like Tom Brady at all. But I don't like him. I respect him. But, Peyton, I don't like Peyton like that. But I learned something by watching those two guys. No matter how good we was, everywhere else, Tom was going to find your weakest link. And whoever that weakest link is, he better get his running shoes on, because he's going to be running all day long. And so that's when me, from a defensive mind, said, Coach, we can't play them the way you want to play them. We got to play them the way I think on how to play them. And where he think we have the weakest link, I've corrected that in practice. How? I silently walked up to the guy who I knew was the weakest link. And I said, come with me. Come to my house. And every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, this is in business. This is in life. This is with multiple kids. When you have the weakest link, if you want the pride to survive, go find the person that's slowing everybody down. And to win championships, the only reason I hosted this Lombardi and put this pitch up is for one reason. I tore my tricep from the bone. Anybody followed my career knew I tore my tricep from the bone. Me hosting that trophy didn't have nothing to do with my athletic ability. It had everything to do with my leadership skills, that I empowered men to move mountains. And the 4 plays with my back against the goal line. Paul, I couldn't feel my arm. My whole right side of my body was numb. And I asked the Lord, how am I going to make it out? He said, put your back to the goal line and tell everybody to do what they do individually. And I went to every one of my teammates and say, I don't need a hero. I just need you to do your job. I'm encouraging everybody in this room. We don't need heroes. We just need everybody to come together and be the best you at your job. Listen here. I got to read it. The International Economic Forum of the Americas. Man, it'll take me a long time to memorize that. But I read it. And I wanted to thank everybody that's in this room. And I want to encourage everybody in this room. Yeah, we're at a bad place as a world. But guess what? As long as we keep having these meetings, our kids can see brighter days. But we must be the example. Thank you.